Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Revenue Installation System. Congratulations on showing up live. I will be providing the freebie that you got for attending live. It will be called the 10K Profit Checklist for you. This will last approximately 60 to 75 minutes, depending on Q&A. So definitely make sure that you're able to have a good internet connection. Feel free to chat and ask Q&A throughout the live event. I'm going to be sharing my screen and I'm going to be respectful of everybody's time. And let's get started. So again, like this is called the revenue installation system. This is how you're going from exhausted and underpaid to how you can achieve 10 to 20K months with time freedom without sacrificing quality, losing your dream clients, or burning out. And these are the things that are working in 2026. I know that a lot of you have been in the industry for a really long time. And so I want to be very appropriate for what's actually happening in today's climate today. So again, I am so glad you're here because I know that your time is precious. I know maybe you're like me and you're working a lot on Monday, so you might be squeezing this in between clients or sitting in your car trying to grab a quiet moment before your next appointment or errand. And so I see you and I'm really honored that you're here. Again, my name is Ashley Walker and I help salon and suite owners for the past 6 years build six-figure companies without working more hours, adding like a ton more clients and burning yourself out in the process. And we're going to talk about for about 60 to 75 minutes about money openly, specifically how to make more of it without sacrificing your body, your sanity, or your soul. Because, of course, let's be real, like you didn't get the industry to feel stuck. You didn't spend years perfecting your craft, investing thousands in education, pouring your heart into your clients just to hit an income ceiling that you can't break through. And here's what I'm guessing is happening. Your money is fine in that you're charging 100 to 150, maybe 200 an hour, and your books are at least 50% full. But as you get further in your career, you start wanting things that require more than fine, whether it's a home that you actually own, vacations without checking your phone all the time, investment accounts, or a retirement plan that doesn't require you working full time behind the chair. And right now you're feeling capped. Maybe you are afraid to take a full week off. And of course, you don't want to lessen your lifestyle, and have your family take a hit, but you also are feeling stuck in second gear and you can't figure out how to grow without working a ton more hours. And so that's really what we're going to fix today. And before we dive in, I always like to provide real testimonials that are real results because this is not theory, it's not motivational fluff, it's not just, believe in yourself and raise your prices. This is very much a proven system that has been working for and operating for 6 years and has helped hundreds of salon and suite owners going from overworked and underpaid to feeling more confident and profitable and thriving. And this is a glimpse of what's possible for you because I want you to notice something is that these people are not celebrities with massive followings. For example, Jess in one of the slides, she's a salon suite owner in the Midwest outside Chicago, and she was doing everything right, 12 years in the industry, but her income did not reflect her skill level. And that changed when we installed the right systems. Or Serena, who's a private suite owner outside of Boston, single mom, exhausted, overbooked, barely keeping up. Now she's married and earning significantly more, tripling her income actually, and having more time for her family and growing her family. Or Kay in the last testimonial screenshot, left New York City for a much smaller market and thought this was going to be a really big hit to her income, but she actually gained 92% more profitability. And these people are far from alone. I could tell you about so many others like Kelsey or Tracy or Nicolena. Again, these are real people with real fears and real responsibilities, and these systems work for them every single time. And so if there's a little voice in your head that says, it's not going to work for me, I really want you to challenge that today because here's the truth. If it worked for them, it can work for you too. Now, I know that some of you might be thinking, my clients would never pay that. My town is so different. But, for example, like Kay thought the same thing. She moved from New York City to Iowa and doubled her monthly revenue, not Manhattan, Iowa. Maybe you think I'm not confident enough to charge premium prices or have a premium brand. And Tracy felt the exact same way. She was terrified to raise her prices, literally shaking when she hit send on the new menu, but she earned 25% more on day one and her clients didn't even blink. Maybe the thought is, I'm not organized enough. I'm not business minded. And that's totally what Serena thought. She is a mom running a private suite. So no business degree, no marketing background, but her revenue nearly tripled, while she worked fewer days and shorter hours. Or maybe the thought is, I need one more certification first. I'm not ready yet. And I had that belief for 7 years of telling myself I needed one more class, one more technique, one more credential. but the income stayed exactly the same. And here's what every single one of these people had in common is that they all believed in the beginning that they were the exception, that they all thought this is going to work for everybody else, but it's not for me. And they were all wrong. And so if that little voice is telling you right now that you're somehow different, that your situation is uniquely impossible, I want you to hold that thought because by the end of this presentation, I want you to see why that voice is lying to you. And so here's what we're going to walk away with today. First, you're going to understand why your current pricing model is keeping you trapped and how to break free without losing the clients that you love. Two, you're going to learn the exact framework that I use to go from 6 to 8,000 revenue months to more consistent 15 to 20K months while cutting my schedule down to 32 hours a week. And finally, you're going to see the step-by-step process that removes guesswork, eliminates fear, and makes premium pricing feel natural, not scary. By the time we're done today, you're going to have clarity, you're going to have a roadmap, and you're going to know what needs to change. Sound good? So, really quickly, I want to be clear about who this training is for. This is for you if you've been behind the chair for at least 5 years and you know that you're good, but your income doesn't reflect that yet. So, you're tired of maybe feeling fully booked and still feeling financially stressed. Maybe you want to raise your prices, but you're terrified of losing your best fit clients and you know that something needs to change and you're also willing to do the work. And this is not for you if you're brand new and you're still figuring out your technical skills, or if you're looking for a quick hack that requires zero effort, or you're just not interested in investing time and energy into your business, or obviously, like if you're perfectly happy where you are right now. And listen, if some of you are maybe having this subconscious thought, it's greedy to want more money or to talk about money or to command more money, I really want to challenge that because is wanting financial stability for your family greedy? Is wanting fewer hours so that you can actually step into your feminine more greedy? Is wanting to take a vacation without your bank account crashing, is that greedy? No, it's actually really responsible, right? Wanting to earn more is not selfish because you need that time and energy to devote to your family, your community, the rest of your life, right? And underpricing and under earning leads to your burnout. You are overburdened, you are resentful, and you're inconsistent. And you're constantly reacting to your life instead of feeling in command to plan for your future. And so this is really allowing you to work fewer days, optimize your schedule, extend your career, but also show up better for all of the people in your life, of course, especially for your clients. Now, why should you listen to me? This is a great question, actually, because I've been behind the chair for over 20 years. I've done so much in this beautiful career. I'm still in the career doing hair behind the chair, very part time. But, over the years when I was full time, I worked Fashion Week. I did editorial hair, for example. I've done CNBC hair, and I've done so much in education. Oh my goodness. I've studied at Vidal Sassoon. I've trained in razor cutting and hair painting from Bumble and Bumble and Whitmore House. I've done the grind. I've also lived the burnout. I've experienced that gap between how hard I work and how little it has shown up in my bank account. But I've also done the transformation. And my story is one of hope. I went from making 6 to 8 grand revenue a month and feeling capped at that for so many years to then earning 15 to 20K a month. And that changed my life. And now I help other salon and suite owners do the same thing. And of course, it was not always this way. There was a time that I almost quit the industry entirely. And, I seriously considered about 10 years ago, leaving hair to become a nurse or a librarian. I think I was looking for somewhere I wouldn't have to talk to anybody as much. I was feeling really burned out. I also was really craving stability and security. And what I was doing, it was not working. And I'm sharing that with you because if you've ever felt like you're doing so many things right and you just don't understand why it's not working, this is really going to resonate because I want to paint a picture for you of what my life was like when this picture was taken, which was I was waking up at 3:30 in the morning. My alarm would go off and I would drag myself out of bed and my back and my body was aching because I was working on concrete floors and I'd also had back surgery. And I would hustle downtown and get to the CNBC studio around 4:15 or 4:30 to work on over-processed fried hair to make it look really perfect for the morning news. And I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time, so I would have to battle all of the morning traffic. And sometimes there would be a parking ticket on my car because they didn't pay for my parking. And so the 250 or 300 bucks that I would make during that shift was already whittled down because of the parking ticket. I would drive back, uptown to my apartment. I would take a shower, get ready, look really beautiful to be basically on stage in my salon business. I would drive to this beautiful salon next to the Ritz-Carlton. I would park in a parking garage for $35 a day, every single day, 5 days a week, and I would work 9 to 10 hour days. And around that time, it was about 10 years in the industry. And when I did the math, because I had a lot of a la carte services, I was still making maybe averaging about like 75 to $95 an hour after a decade in the industry. And that broke my heart when I really got clear on the math because I really kept thinking if I just work harder, if I just get better, if I just do more, it's finally going to pay off, right? And so what I did, because I am a nerd on learning, is that I would invest thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars every single year, every single quarter, actually, in advanced education. Whether it was taking the bus to New York City or flying across country to California, whether it was balayage, editorial, razor cutting, even bridal hair. I took these side gigs doing bridal hair because my friend launched a bridal company, and I was driving these hotels doing stranger, like, danger bridesmaids hair and chaotic salon suites. And I didn't love it. I was so stressed out all the time. I was so exhausted. And meanwhile, I was watching my other friends, my normal friends, buy homes or take luxury vacations or plan families. And I felt so far behind. And I don't know if you've ever felt like that. Have you ever had that feeling in your head like, man, like I just feel far behind, right? Or I'm working harder than everybody else and I just don't understand why it's not clicking yet. And I wasn't really sure at the time what was keeping me stuck, but looking back, I can see it very clearly in these three buckets. Number one, it's that talent trap, right? Like I just thought I just need more credentials. I need to do more, earn more, be good enough. And then I'll finally be qualified to break through the income ceiling, right? Number two, no business structure. I never went to business school. I have a journalism and psychology degree. That's awesome, but I did not have an MBA, right? So I'd never been taught how to price strategically, how to build a premium client experience, systems, right? Cosmetology school taught me how to do hair, but nobody taught me the business part, right? And I don't know if you ever felt like that, right? Like you're amazing at your craft, but the business part feels really confusing. Or number three, this other, more amorphous thing, which is an identity crisis. And that meant that I never saw myself as running a company, right? I didn't see myself as CEO. That sounded actually kind of ridiculous to me. I really saw myself only just a hairdresser or a service provider, and my pricing stayed stuck because of that identity crisis. And, back in 2015, I got divorced and suddenly I had double the overhead, double the rent, double the bills, and I could no longer treat my business like a passion project, right? Because I didn't have his money to support me. And so it really was about survival. And I remember sitting in my apartment, staring at my bank account, looking at the math, looking at the numbers, thinking, man, I cannot keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. That's insanity. And I was on a spiritual path. I've been sober for about 20 years and I got into holistic wellness actually because I was having all of this burnout, all of this like ADHD, brain fog, exhaustion, no matter what fad diet, was happening, no matter how much exercise, all the things that you hear, right? Like it just wasn't clicking, right? And so that's really why I got into it. And I was taking this workshop downtown DC, and I met one of my first mentors named Miriam. And I asked her out for coffee, and she wasn't a hairstylist. She was actually a wellness entrepreneur. She was a healer, but also was running a business, like sharp and very business savvy. And she was living the life that I desperately wanted. And we met for coffee. I told her all about what was going on, and I'll never forget what she said to me. She was like, hey, girl, like you don't have to separate, the business from the wellness. Like you can actually merge them. And I remember saying, like, what do you mean? She said, well, like you're treating them like they're two different things, right? But you've been in the industry for a really long time. Like this is actually an opportunity for you to care deeper for your clients. And they're not two different things, right? And also, by the way, like you're also massively undercharging. And when she said that, I knew she was right, but my stomach also dropped because I was like, man, like I work next to the Ritz-Carlton, like that's pretty fancy, and I'm charging more than a lot of people in my city. And she was like, yeah, but like honestly, like you should actually be doubling your prices based on like what you're doing and your market. And I choked on my coffee. I was like, dude, like I just couldn't see that that was possible. And I said, I just don't know if my clients will do that. And she was real with me. She said, listen, like some of your clients might not, but most of them actually will. And honestly, like you are teaching people how to treat you by undercharging. You are telling them and signaling that it's not worth more. And she was not mean about it. She was just very direct and honest. And I really needed that at the time. I really needed permission to stop waiting until everything is perfect, to start messy, and to charge what I actually needed to charge. And honestly, what I was worth. And what I also knew deep down was that I couldn't just raise my prices and hope for the best, right? I couldn't just do this because I'd seen other stylists try that. Like they would announce a price increase and, a lot of their clients would push back or leave. And I realized there was a gap, right? Like raising prices without upgrading everything is just wishful thinking. Like if I wanted to charge premium prices, I needed to look premium, right? Like I needed to sound premium, I needed to operate premium. And my talent was never the problem. Like my skills were there, but I was trying to charge luxury prices with a business that just didn't match. And that's the gap that was keeping me stuck, right? And I don't know if you've ever had a moment like that where suddenly everything clicks and you kind of realize, oh, this might be the thing that's actually been holding me back, even though I thought it was another thing. And what I did was actually terrifying for me, to be honest. 10 years ago, it was really scary, because all I knew was what I knew. And then I had to choose a new way because I completely rebuilt my business from the ground up. Like I had a new service menu. I added all the wellness elements that made sense for my market and my audience. I wound up actually almost doubling like a lot of my prices, not all of them. But I did rebrand everything, like my website, my Instagram, client communication, how I talked about everything, how I showed up. All of it was working together. Like it wasn't just this one thing. And once I optimized that and kind of got that running, for probably like a good like 60 days, then I sent the email to my clients announcing the new pricing and the packages. And I stared at my laptop, I mean, at least for 20 minutes before I hit send. And you know what that's like. You have that moment in your body where you feel all that anxiety and it's like, oh my God, it's not going to work out. Oh my God, they're all going to leave. But I hit send anyway because, I didn't come this far to only come that far. And what I want to tell you is that moment took 7 years. Like that moment to hit send and almost double my prices took 7 years of confusion, spending over 7 years, easily 100 grand on advanced education and coaching and mentorships and masterminds, trying to piece it all together. And I don't want you to wait 7 years, right? And so that's why I'm holding this presentation today. And luckily, I'm so glad that I stayed the path because the responses started coming in from my clients, who had been with me, so proud of you. You're worth every penny. It's about time, girl. And I sat there with my tears streaming down my face, because one of my top clients at the time, Sarah, a lobbyist with purple hair, said, man, I'm so proud of you. Finally, like I just booked my next appointment. And, not everybody stayed. Like I think at the time I had about 150 people average, like in my client base. And like I lost like 5 people. I remember like three pushed back and those 3 people did sting just because, I care about them. Like we're in the caring business and we're in the good feelings business. And when I held my ground, like, yeah, it stung. But what I want you to understand is that I don't want you to spend 7 years and 100 grand figuring this out like I did. Like that really is a scary bridge because time you can't get back. That's an expensive, exhausting, hard path, right? And I don't know if you have ever invested in coaches and mentorships and training before, but I don't know if you've ever invested and felt like, man, I just don't know if you're on the right path. And so you're going to get clarity today. And I kept going. I didn't let the negative Nancy's affect me. Like I kept going. And that's when everything changed. Within months. I would say it took about 90 days, but I went, from the beginning of changing all those things, but I went from making 6 to 8 to 15 to 20 with over 40% profit margins. And that's huge because the average is 8 to 10%. I went from working 50 hours to 32 to 36 a week. I gave up the 3:30 a.m. gigs. I gave up the bridal stuff. At the end of the year, when I had my taxes done with the bookkeeper and accountant, I had 100K as income. And I had not been able to do that for a decade. And what that bought me was peace. And I respected myself. And it wasn't because I earned more certifications and did more and, all this other distraction, but it was because I stopped giving into distraction and I finally built systems my business needed and I needed. And what I didn't understand for all those years is that my talent was never the problem, right? Like my work ethic was never the problem, but I was trying to build a premium business without the right ecosystem and the right systems to support it. And so the moment that I finally shifted and got that clarity, and I also stopped, telling myself I'm only a hairdresser, and I started building a business on purpose, everything clicked into place. And again, it wasn't because, like my haircuts got magically better. It's because I had the right systems working for me. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. Because what I discovered is, this is just a lot of stuff that people just don't talk about, especially in 2026. And what I discovered, and the thing that changed everything for me and now changes it for the people that I'm blessed to work with, is that these are the three main revenue systems that every single salon business needs, no matter where you're at. If you're a booth renter, salon suite owner, micro salon owner, or a big team owner, every single business needs the three revenue systems, and you need them in a certain order, right? So number one, you need, your pricing model, right? You need a lead engine, you need a reactivation engine, but they have to have a specific order because you can't jump to marketing and ads, for example, to get more clients, for example, if your pricing foundation is broken. You have to start maybe with your identity and your nervous system first because, right? Like if you're constantly stuck in fight or flight and you don't believe that you're worth premium, then no strategy is going to save you. And listen, like these systems also, this is the other key drop. These systems can't just be taught. Like you can't just watch a course and download a template or a checklist and hope that you're going to figure it out if you have a 2 hour break between your clients. Like they really need to be installed with you by somebody who actually handles that heavy build while you actually focus, what you're great at. And this is what I'm calling the revenue installation system. They are these three systems installed in order and built with you. And over the next minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly why the order matters, why maybe past attempts have failed, but also why this approach works when maybe other things haven't. So let's dive in. So after I had that breakthrough of my own salon, going from 6 to 8, per month to going to 15 to 20, I thought I had it all figured out. And I really did. And I had been coaching offline, for 2 years prior, and then I started coaching other salon pros and I would just share everything that I had. So whether it was my pricing and packaging strategy, my booking system, tech, basically all the tactical things that would work. And what happened was that I would say about 30% got results, but 70% didn't. And it really ate me up. And I knew it was possible because obviously I had had success and other people had had success. I had had clients who had done it, but why wasn't it working for everyone? Right? Because everybody was talented. Everybody had skills. They had great haircuts. They had passion. But I would hear a pattern over and over and over again. Like I try to raise my prices, but but I got scared when I had one client push back, or I'd build the menu, but I'm really scared to present it. Or I know I should be charging more, but I just like, what if they say no? And again, wall number one, talent trap. I kept get the first wall that everybody kept hitting was that talent trap because they just have this thought that if they just get really good at their craft, then the money is automatically going to follow. And so that's what keeps them stuck in this weird feedback loop of investing thousands and thousands in advanced education and staying stuck in that loop only. Right. And don't get me wrong, like excellence does matter. But I would watch stylist after stylist be really excellent at their craft and still be stuck, because I was one of them. I was for a long time about 75,000 income as an employee. And, but I wanted more. And, and I knew that it was possible, but I just didn't know how to get there. And so I did for many years, like stay stuck in this cycle. I would double book people and outsource them to assistants. And I was a conveyor belt. Like I became a robot, booked solid, but exhausted and barely breaking through to the next level. And one of my beautiful clients from Australia, Nicole, is a seasoned stylist, about 20 years in the industry, but her pricing at the time that we started working together was super emotional. It was not strategic and based on math. She was literally booking appointments and a notebook with a pen. She didn't really have the right systems and tech for her business. And she was terrified that raising her prices would anger her clients and they were going to think that, she was being disloyal. And again, she didn't need another balayage class. She needed things, she needed her pricing rebuilt on math. She also needed a premium client experience to actually be valued at that, right? And, she needed to step into identity for who she was today, not somebody she was 5 or 10 years ago. And once we started installing this for her, she went from 1,500 a week
to 3,000 and then 5,000 a week. And she's only working 3.5 days a week. And again, her clients did not leave. Like they actually stayed with her. Her husband was so gobsmacked, because that was like really a big moment for her. Like she wanted to make her husband proud. And it's because the industry has just trained us to believe that better skills equals better income. And that's just not how it works. And again, her skills did not change, her systems did. And, here's where it gets really frustrating because clients, my coaching clients, and like you are not sitting around doing nothing. Like you are taking time out of your day to be a problem solver and be capable and figure out what's going on. And so everybody that I work with is the same, right? And they weren't doing nothing, like they were taking action, but they were doing things in the wrong order. And so, for example, they'd try to attract new clients before their pricing was really profitable, or run a promo before the menu is designed for premium, or invest in ads, but nothing was optimized to actually convert. And so every piece is legit, but the sequence is wrong. And so you might be feeling that way too. Like you're doing a lot of these right things that you're hearing about, whether it's posting or promoting or networking or ads, but the needle doesn't move. And it's not because those activities are wrong. It's just, again, doing it the wrong order is a leaky bucket, right? And when nothing works, it can feel really frustrating, right? Like you start blaming yourself. You might be thinking, I'm not good at this, but it's not about that. It's just sequence. And number three, this wall that I was talking about earlier, this really was frustrating because I can always see the greatness of my coaching clients, right? I would watch them get everything into place, but then they would sabotage themselves. And it was really, an example that I'll include is a boundary, right? Like setting those with clients, whether it's a cancellation policy or no more squeezes. But then because they would have this close relationship with that client, they would violate their own rules. And they would somehow think maybe that's being a good business owner, like preserving that client relationship. But if you do that, you are setting yourself on fire to keep other people warm and you're not going to be profitable, right? And this is because as creatives, we can go from I'm the best to I'm the worst in the same week or in the same day, right? Clients can rave, we feel invincible. And the next, maybe somebody's over underwhelmed or leaves a bad review, and suddenly we think, oh my God, I'm not worth this. And that's not a business problem. That really is an identity problem. And you just cannot outstructure a fear-based business. And so if you're constantly second guessing things, no strategy is going to save you. So as I was sitting there late at night, kind of looking at my business that I had built for all of my coaching clients to help them get results, I remembered something from my neuroscience studies, which is that you cannot think your way out of a nervous system response, right? Like when you're public speaking, for example, if like anybody else has done public speaking and you remember the first time that you did it, you can know that you're not going to die, but maybe your heartbeat races or you start sweating, and your body is literally screaming at you, danger, right? Like they're going to reject you. And again, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter if you have an epic pricing formula, right? If your system is still stuck in that fight or flight, or you're just wired for survival. And so once I realized that, that was really an aha moment for me because then I began to go, oh, right. This is a missing piece, right? And this is a missing piece that a lot of coaches don't cover. And I stayed up mapping it out because I realized something that our industry as a whole just doesn't really talk about. Revenue isn't built, it's installed, and it needs a specific order, right? Like you got to fix the foundation first. And then you can build systems that, keep everything running, not the other way around. Because you can have the best Instagram strategy in the world, but if your pricing is broken, you're going to stay stuck, right? You can bring in new clients all day, but if you don't have a retention system, it's a leaky bucket. You just cannot out hustle a broken foundation. And here's what I want you to understand. When people work with us, we do all of this together. Like this is not a worksheet or a cheat sheet or a bunch of video modules that you watch on your own. It's really got to be worked with you side by side, really, truly, whether it's nervous system, CEO mindset, and then like once that's on board, then we can actually install the appropriate tech and systems for people, whether it's your pricing model, your lead engine, your reactivation campaigns. Again, you really approve everything and we are doing all the heavy lifting. And the thing is that what I noticed, and the reason that we started to do it this way is because a lot of programs focus only on one or the other. They don't do both, and we really handle everything with you. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds great, or it sounds good. This is a nice presentation, but I've tried before and I've invested time in these things before and I still feel stuck. And that's really not your fault. If you're here today live and you're watching this, it's not your fault. And I really want to show you why. And if you've tried, for example, to raise your prices or invest in programs and work on your confidence and you're still stuck, again, this is not your fault. And I really want to prove it to you because it's kind of like when you try to bake a souffle, but you don't have all the instructions. So you don't know that you can't open up the oven or that you don't know that you have to have it exactly at 375 degrees. And those little tweaks make all the difference, right? But if you don't know that, then your souffle is going to fall flat. And then you're going to think, I suck at making souffles. But that's not true. You were just given incomplete instructions. And that's what's happened a lot in the beauty industry. So I'm just so curious. I would love to hear from you if you want to say in the chat, when you went to cosmetology school, was it like me? Like did they teach you how to price your services for profit or how to read a P&L or how to set boundaries or how to build a service menu for a profit or how to regulate your nervous system? Like no. Like that's not I didn't learn any of that stuff. I was taught how to do hair, how to mix color, how to hold shears, but none of the business. And it's just how it's set up, right? Like we're just trained as technicians, not business owners. We're really taught to be skilled workers, not CEOs. And so in the very beginning, when we go out into the field, we compete on price. It's very transactional. We say, oh my God, I'm the cheapest around, or, come be my free hair model, or, things are only $30 or $50, but, you can't live that way forever because everything races to the bottom, right? And eventually, over time and experience, a lot of us go out on our own and rent a suite or become a booth renter or manage a team. But the industry has not prepared us for that at all. And our industry really glorifies a lot of hustle, not profit. They still glorify being really booked out or working 12-hour days. We don't really talk a lot about profit margins, or, even through COVID, the pendulum swung the other way where we were talking about charging your worth and people were massively raising their prices without upgrading anything. And clients felt ripped off and, they probably left. And again, you just can't slap a new price on an old experience and expect it to work. Like higher prices without upgraded systems, is not going to work. And if anybody has done that, this is no shaming, but it's not your fault, but I just want to let you know, like, that's maybe the reason that like it didn't work. And again, we're just taught a lot to serve, not to earn. Again, especially if we're women, we're taught we got to care for people first, making money comes second, and that making maybe too much money or talking about money makes us selfish. It's only about people or it's mostly about making people feel beautiful. And yes, but you do have to pay attention to the money, right? Because you cannot serve from an empty cup. If you're financially stressed, burnout, resentful, and in debt, you're not giving your best. And, you shouldn't feel guilty for wanting to be well paid, or discount because you feel bad. This is not your fault. And again, the industry has set us up a lot to fail financially and not maliciously and not on purpose. It's just that really we're just trained so much as technicians and we're just not trained on how to be business owners and CEOs. And it's kind of like teaching somebody how, like all the ins and outs of an airplane, but we never actually got down to flying an airplane and then saying like, oh, well, you should have figured it out. But again, is that really your fault if you just weren't taught these things? If cosmetology school didn't teach you how to price for profit or, or support a luxury brand? No, like if you didn't know any of these things, like that's not your fault. Like you just were given incomplete instructions. The formula was just incomplete. But once I understood this, right? That's when I started to rebuild things and build the revenue installation system because that really kicks off where the beauty industry stops. This identity and structure and nervous system and pricing strategy, CEO mindset and service menus. And here's the beautiful thing is that when people finally stop blaming themselves for everything for their past failures and started seeing them as systemic, not personal, they were like, okay, cool. Like, okay, like I'm gonna end this cycle and I'm going to do better now, right? They're more like, oh, I'm capable, right? Now I know what to do. And again, like understanding that this isn't your fault, like doesn't mean like you stay stuck and stagnant. Like you obviously take responsibility and accountability, right? Like now you want to do better. Which brings me to the next question. You know, what if you've tried other programs in the past, or what if you have trusted people before and it didn't work out the way that you wanted? And maybe you're like, well, what makes this different? And that's a fair question because if I was sitting where you were and you have invested in other programs or listened to other mentors and it hasn't worked out, then I would be skeptical too, right? And so I want to show you why it's different. This is kind of like hiring somebody to renovate your kitchen. So you have these three contractors, and contractor number one says, hey, I'm going to give you a checklist of everything that you need, to renovate your kitchen. Like here's a blueprint or here's measurements, here's materials. And so you try to do it yourself and you buy all the materials, but you don't know how to do this, right? And so your measurements are off, things don't fit right, and you're kind of frustrated. So then you hire a contractor too. And they say, okay, cool. Like I have an 8-week course and I want you to watch it and you're going to learn everything on how to do this yourself. And so you watch the course, you learn a lot, but now you're a plumber, you're a carpenter, and you're an electrician, all trying to do this, and you're still trying to run a salon business, and your kitchen still isn't done. So then you go to the third contractor, and they say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to design the kitchen, source the materials, handle all the heavy build out, and you're just going to pick the finishes and approve everything. And we're going to be on site every step of the way, making sure it's built right. And in 90 days, your kitchen's going to be done, but you're going to know how to operate it even when we leave. That's the difference. And here's the thing, most business programs hand you a blueprint and wish you luck. Some teach you how to become the contractor yourself, but you don't need another blueprint. And let's be real, you don't have time to become a contractor. You need somebody to handle the heavy build with you so systems actually get installed and you know how to run them. So I want to ask you, have you ever bought a pricing course that gave you formulas, but you still couldn't bring yourself to actually change your prices? Or downloaded ad templates, but never actually launched the ads? Or maybe gotten confused on the setup? Or learned, marketing strategies, but past clients or, those campaigns are still sitting collecting dust. Maybe you've thought, I know what to do, but I just don't have the time or the knowledge to actually do it. And listen, if you answered yes to any of those, like you're not alone. Even with ChatGPT, information means nothing without implementation. Again, you're given strategies, but not installed systems. They might say like, oh, like here's how to price for profit for $17 but you got to do all the build yourself. Or they're like, hey, like download this worksheet and you're going to run ads, but you got to set up those campaigns completely on your own. And again, you're a salon pro, you're not a marketing agency. And that's a lot of time to set up Facebook ads, build automations, optimize things. And so maybe you do try, you do spend hours, watching tutorials, but also not really sure about what's working. And it's so easy and normal to want to give up. And you're not lazy. It's just that this is outside your zone of genius. Again, you know, information without implementation is useless because you need better pricing and marketing yourself. You know that things need to change. Maybe you learn a pricing strategy and get excited, but freeze when you open a spreadsheet. Maybe you're still confused despite all of the worksheets. Like, what do I charge though for me? How do I package this for me? How do I set up ads for me? Where do I even start? Again, information is so useless without somebody to actually help you build it out the right way. Because if it was easy, everybody would do it. And again, time is such a big thing because even if you could figure it out, because of course you are capable, right? But even if you could, it's going to take like 40 to 50 hours a week, you know, ads, marketing, automations, funnels. It's a full-time job. And that's the reason why a lot of the business programs fail. It's not because those strategies are wrong. It's because so much of the heavy lifting is put onto you, right? And again, you became a salon professional because you care about people. You care about beauty, you care about the craft, you care about community. And so that's why we build a system that installs revenue alongside salon and suite owners instead of just teaching and hoping for the best, right? And so we install your pricing model, whether it's a full model of your company, a full menu rebuild, identifying $3,000 to $10,000 in monthly leaks, building out your premium packages, all of the language that's going to be optimized for you. Again, you approve it and we build it. Number two, we got to install your specific lead engine. So, what does that look like positioning for you and your market and your audience? What are all those pages, whether it's your booking page, your website, if you have one, like what is the optimizations needed? What are the ads that are needed for you? Again, you approve and we launch it. Number three, we install that reactivation engine. How do we get your clients to keep coming back and buy more, right? We got to optimize your client list, nurture them, get those win back campaigns going, right? What are your specific upsells and bonuses? Maybe you have specific memberships. Again, you approve and we implement. When we started installing these systems for people instead of just teaching strategies, everything changed. And people who had done business programs before finally got results. They finally got the ROI, right? The return on their investment. And not because they learned something like amazingly new, but because we actually built it with them. Again, not better information, but better implementation. That is a huge difference. And so I really want to paint a picture of what life can look like for you, right? Because we're in Q2, but Q3 and Q4 it could like pop off with the right systems. Because think about it, like you wake up on a Monday morning and you look at the rest of your week and everything is optimized and you feel a sense of ease when you look at your business. Your clients are pre-booked, the services are premium, things are profitable. You check notifications, maybe you got some new inquiries in because your email campaigns and your ads are optimized. And it wasn't because you were scrambling on social media or text messaging your clients from your personal phone or discounting. It's because you actually have foundations built. And, say it's a work day and you've already served a couple clients for the day and it's, the middle of the afternoon and they paid premium prices and you didn't have to negotiate or apologize or emotionally discount and you leave at an ideal hour. Maybe you leave at 5 p.m., maybe you leave at 6 p.m. And again, you're not burned out and your schedule's optimized and you have time for your family and community or to exercise, to care for yourself, right? And your revenue is up. And not because you worked like 55, 60 hours, but because your systems are installed and working. And, you know, the best part is calm, peace, no longer in fight or flight, no panic about where the next clients are coming from, and no looking at your bank account with anxiety because revenue becomes more consistent and more predictable. And you finally feel like a CEO, not because you're just like pretending to be one, but because you actually are operating like one. And of course, here you have a choice. Like, number one, you can do this on your own. Take everything from today, right? Like all the systems that I talked about, the sequence, and figure it out. And it will probably take 6 to 12 months of trial and error, if I'm honest with you. And you'll probably waste money on campaigns that don't work or leave thousands on the table every single month that you don't figure it out. Because most people who take this path, they do eventually give up. And again, not because they're not incapable, but because life is so busy, right? Like there's so much time, there's so much happening, right? It's just exhausting to learn new skills while also running a full-time salon and doing that, all the time, day in and day out. Or number two, you can let us work with you and alongside you, building this out for you, building your pricing structure, your client attraction system, your attention engine. Within 90 days, your systems are installed and working. And before I show you what's included, I do want you to understand you've heard me say time, right? Over and over again, because time matters, right? Like costs are rising, whether it's color, rent, insurance, you all know this, gas prices are astronomical right now. And if your business hasn't kept pace, your margins are shrinking and competition increases. I'm in Austin, Texas. So like there's new stylists like coming out, a lot, more suites or more stylists, and we're fighting for the same market. So if you don't have a way to stand out, like you get lost. And so the question really isn't like, can I afford the time and energy in this? It's more, can I actually afford to wait? And, what we have built, this revenue installation system, is our 90-day, it's a very high touch container, right? Number one, like we're installing these three systems of your new pricing model. So your every appointment is profitable. your lead engine so that new premium clients are coming to you, right? And number three, your reactivation engine so that you are nurturing your existing clients. And so all your past clients are coming back every single month. Like this is not a course. It's not, a bunch of videos for you just to watch and figure it out on your own. Like this is really installation. Like we're building it with you hands on and you're approving every single piece and we're implementing together. And in 90 days, you have these systems installed, right? And you are generating $3,000 to $8,000 more per month from clients who love you and your work. And, also you get 12 weekly private coaching calls and you get between call Slack support so that you're not stuck waiting for an answer every single week. You get hands-on implementation help. And of course, so important, the emotional and nervous system support so that you can grow along your business. Now, again, I'm going to go back to the slide because you might be thinking this sounds awesome, but does it actually work? And again, dude, Kelsey was up 31% with only 8 appointments and she was charging $232 an hour outside Kansas City. Tracy in Arizona, first day, 25% more money. Jess tripled her income 1 week after launching. Outside Chicago, Nicolana, outside Pittsburgh, 41K more on annual salon goal. Another stylist went up from 33,935 to 7,575. Dude, that's a 92% increase. Another went from 4,575 to 7,880 after the pricing restructure. Like that's insane. Like think about that, like month by month by month. Like this is not theory. Like these are real salon professionals with real results. So I'm not going to drop a price here right on this workshop. And the only reason is because your salon business is different. Like, I don't know if you're a booth renter, salon suite owner, micro salon owner, if you're running a team, right? Like every salon business is so different. Your marketing, your audience, your pricing gaps, all that's different. Your client base is different. Your revenue leaks are different. And so I can't really quote you like an exact number on like what's going to make sense for you. But what I want you to do is I do want you to book a call with us. I want you to book a strategy call with us. I'm going to pop the URL right here. And it's super easy peasy, lemon squeezy to go to that link. It's 200khair.com/go because we want to take a look, not just me, but like we in the team. We want to take a look at your current revenue and your pricing structure. And we want to identify exactly where are you leaking money, right? Because I know that most salon owners are leaving 3 to 10K per month on the table and they just don't know it. And so we want to map out what's actually going to make sense for your business with these systems installed. And if it makes sense, then we will go through exactly what it looks like to work together, including investment. Again, we have lots and lots of pay plans. We have financing, payment plans can be as low as a couple $100 a month. Again, this call is really valuable, whether you work with us or not, because we want you to walk away knowing exactly what's broken for you, what you need to fix. And also, man, like what is it costing you every single month to stay exactly the same? And we are so confident, when people work with us, if we don't uncover these leaks in 30 days, we continue working with people at no additional cost because after years of implementing this, like we have never, ever worked with somebody who didn't have at least $3,000 in leaks like sitting on the table. It's always there. We just have to install the right systems to capture it. So we go over all those details on your clarity call and you can book it at 200khair.com/go. And, there is limited time because we only do 5 per month. And that's just because everybody's really unique. But they all need a full pricing model installation. They all need a new lead engine. They all need a reactivation engine. Plus, all the hands-on support, all the private coaching. And we personally review everything. And so when those spots fill, the cycle closes. And if you're thinking, I want these systems installed, I am ready, click the link. Like you have nothing to lose, really, because you're going to see a very short application, a couple questions about where your business is right now and where you want to go. And once you submit, you can just book your call right away. And we want to know about your specific numbers. So bring, the past 90 days of revenue because we want to find the money that you're leaving on the table, but also map out what your business looks like with these 3 systems installed. And if it's a fit, we walk you through everything. And listen, if it's not a fit, like we're still friends, like, and you will still leave with clarity. Now, maybe the thought is, I just don't know if now's the right time. Like maybe I should just wait until summertime or until I have more money saved. And my reality is that there's never a perfect time. Like there's always going to be something. If you wait for the perfect time, you're going to wait forever. Because if you're leaking minimum 3K a month, that's 36 grand gone every year, right? 3,000 this month, 3,000 next month. Every month you wait is expensive. And so if you book a strategy call within the next 24 hours, I'm going to add some bonuses. Okay. So number one is the premium experience upgrade training. And this is a deep dive on how you can elevate your and customize your in-salon client experience, right? Everything that you need, whether it's the communication, all the upgrades that you can provide, all the post-visit follow-ups, because we want it to support your premium pricing, obviously, and give a ton of value that's totally worth more. And number two, the other bonus is a CEO tracking dashboard and a profit leak training. This is such an incredible training because we want you to understand the money in your business and what needs to change. How do you create a budget? How do you create projections, right? We want to know how your services are operating, which ones are profitable, which ones need to go, right? Again, we want to make decisions on data, not panic. And these are only available if you book this clarity call within the next 24 hours. Okay. Again, at 200khair.com/go. And after that, they're gone. Now, maybe you are thinking, is this appropriate for me? Right? Is this like too much? Am I selfish? Or is this like kind of weird for wanting this? And again, like not only is it appropriate, if you're watching this, like it's your responsibility. And what I mean is, like, I just took, like, my voice is scratchy because I just got back from Toronto. I went to an international training as a healer, and airplane air just does not jive with me. So again, think about being on an airplane, right? And they always tell us, put the oxygen mask on yourself first. And that there's a reason for that, right? Like you have to serve yourself first before you can help other people, right? Like they tell us that. And again, you cannot serve from an empty cup. So if you're working like 50 hours plus a week, which is so hard on you, right? Or you're feeling burnt out, or you're undercharging, or you're just feeling really stressed, right? You're overburdened. You're not serving yourself or your people at the highest level. And that really is your responsibility because, of course, you're giving people what is left, not the best. But when you have systems support you, and when you have a business that actually reflects the worth and the revenue is more predictable, then your creativity flows, right? Like that's when you can actually have visions. Your energy is optimized and it's high. Your presence is really there. And people really get the best of you, not what's left of you. And so it's not selfish, it's actually responsible. And, here's my belief as a healer, as a business owner, as a woman, as as a wife, like I really believe that your talent is not just yours. It really is a gift. And with that beautiful gift that you have comes responsibility to steward your talent well. And that means not undercharging and devaluing yourself and not burning out and losing yourself in the process and not staying stuck in fear, right? Because you hurt yourself and you hurt everybody around you when you stay stuck in fear because you limit how long that you can share your gifts with the world because your business closes, right? And you have a light and you have a responsibility to share that light with the world. And so it's not just appropriate to protect yourself long term, but it's actually necessary. Okay. And this is not just about business and money. There's another level, right? That you get to step into the light and model what is possible. And this is about the world at large. This is about your clients, your family, your children, and also the industry and other stylists who are watching you. Because when you charge what you are worth and you build systems who support you and you create a business that gives you freedom, you show people that you can be successful and have balance. that luxury service providers deserve luxury compensation, and that smart systems beat the matrix world of hustling every single time. People see you thriving and they think, I want to support businesses like that. Other stylists see you and think, oh, like maybe I don't have to stay stuck either. You're not just changing your business, my friend. You are changing what people believe is possible, and you are anchoring light in a time when our world desperately needs it. Okay. So I'm going to make it simple. Again, when you join our revenue installation system, here's what gets installed. Number one, your pricing model rebuilt from the ground up, 3 to 10K in leaks, menu redesign, premium packages built, rollout scripts delivered. System two, client attraction system build, website, Instagram audit, booking page optimization, ad scripts, 90-day content calendar, weekly private coaching. Three, retention and reactivation engine installed, nurture sequences, win back campaigns, upsell strategies, membership designs, all built with you. Plus, those 12 weekly implementation calls, between call support, and of course, all of the nervous system coaching so you can hold this new level. Book your call at 200khair.com go in those next 24 hours to get both of the fast action bonuses. Because if you piece this together yourself, whether it's pricing consultant, ad specialist, automation builder, weekly coaching, like you'd be paying multiple people, managing multiple relationships, and still hoping it works and probably feeling exhausted, right? So this puts it all under one roof. Again, we go over investment on your strategy call. The guarantee stands, and we take on about 5 clients per cycle. Click the link at 200khair.com/go to book the strategy call and just fill out the short application. And, again, the link is here. You know what to do. Click it, fill out the application, book the call, and book within 24 hours to get the bonuses. Because honestly, like 6 months from now, you'll either be glad that you took this action or you'll just wish that you had. Let us install the revenue systems and click the link. And again, if you have any questions about the program, about the process, about anything, I want you to drop them in the chat right now. Because you didn't get in the industry to struggle. You got into it because you love the work, you love people, and you also love the transformation. And you deserve to be compensated, and you deserve systems that support you. You deserve a business that gives you freedom, not exhaustion. And I've just seen this work time and time again for the salon professionals that we work with. And so if you're ready to take the next step, we are so here to help you build it. The link is below. Let's make it happen. Thank you. And I did so good on time. I'm like exactly at 60 minutes. I love it. And so, as promised, for coming to the webinar live, I'm dropping the freebie revenue checklist here in the chat for you to download and save on your phone or your computer. Let me grab this link. And what I want you to do is I'm going to stay on here for an extra minute. I'm going to drop that link in there. I want to make sure that those of you who are live can ask the appropriate questions. Let me know that you are able to pull up that link. And I'm going to take a sip of coffee and a sip of water. And I'm also going to stop sharing the screen really quickly. Here we go. Here we go. Beautiful. All right, participants, my love. Those of you who are here at the end, does anybody have any questions for me about this process, about the program, about the guarantee? Were you able to get the freebie? All right. So I dropped the freebie in there. I dropped the link there. And if there's no questions that you have, I want you to book your strategy call, to get on a call with us so that you can get clarity. Because if you've stayed here for 60 minutes and watched this from start to finish, like it is your time. So let us help you to get the clarity and install the systems that are needed for your business. I wish you a blessed and beautiful day. Whether or not we work together or we get on a clarity call together, I truly believe in you anchoring the light that you need for your salon business. And so, I will see you soon.